All right, Tom, what is up, dude?
Yo, what's up, man?
Man, first of all, let me say thank you for taking the time today. Hopefully this rig is not gonna fuck with us today. You know what I'm saying? I've been having some little goofball shenanigans here with this app trying to get
Yeah,
these
that's
things
what you
going.
said.
So so we'll try to pack in what we can and hopefully we don't have any trouble. So
Yeah, for
so,
sure.
so here on Growing on You Live, my man. Basically, we kind of dial it back a little bit, into some of the earlier interests, some of the, earlier, impressions on, how we got to, where we are today. So starting off, as far as maybe an earlier band, song, or album that, made an impression on you, when you were kind of starting to get your own grasp of music. What comes to mind there?
Um, Definitely Kill 'Em All by Metallica, man.
Yes. Okay.
And that came from my dad. Um, Oddly enough, like the first thing I remember actually giving a shit about was the Stray Cats. And he
Okay.
was like, dude, what are you doing? Check this shit out. And he gave me Kill 'Em All. And, you get into Kill 'Em All, you have to fucking get Injustice for All, and then it spirals, and that's how
Yeah.
we got here.
Okay. Okay. Was that something too where like did you have other friends, where your dad showed you that and then, you had had kind of introduced to some friends or did you have other friends that were into that too, where the interest kind of
No,
spiraled? Oh,
no.
okay. Okay.
I didn't have like any uh, metal friends or anybody that was into heavy music until like fucking junior high.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I was
Okay.
definitely a lone wolf in elementary school listening to fucking And Justice for All.
Sick. That rules. I mean, and I love that just from, having the same personal experience. I had a couple of buddies that, had kind of like had gotten into some of that stuff too. But yeah, I had older brothers that got me into it was
Oh, gotcha.
specifically Metallica and Slayer and the earlier Sepultura albums. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
it was that was the shit right there. So from there though, was there other bands too to where like was there like the Bay Area bands that your dad got you into too? Or was there other, like main like Rush or radio rock bands that were kind of, sticking out to you at all?
As far as my dad's concerned, he's not like a metal guy by any means, but
Oh,
I
okay.
think that he's like into like Zeppelin and Beatles and shit like that. But
Sure.
he basically, I guess somehow he had a copy of that Kill 'Em All, and he gave it to me, and then of course, I went to our local record store and I bought And Justice for All and Rust in Peace on the same day.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
those were my next records, and then from there, Megadeth, Slayer, just start digging in
Nice.
more and more.
Right. Okay. What about getting your first CD? So you just kind of touched on that, or cassette or record. As far as your own money, you're going into the shop and maybe you have some allowance scraped up or some
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
What was the first thing that you picked up for yourself?
yeah. That was it. Those
That
two,
was it. Okay.
and Justice
Okay.
for All and Rust in Peace. Yeah.
Dang. Dang. Okay. Was there anything early on that might have been a little bit out of that realm that was maybe a gift that somebody had gotten you? Where you were like, I don't know if I'm gonna be so into this, and it caught you off guard, and you ended up digging it.
Um, Not really. Not that I can remember. No.
Okay. All right.
I kind of once I got like on that metal road, I pretty much stuck to it until
Okay.
until hardcore. But
Yeah. 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 Touche.
you know,
Touche. Some of the crossover stuff, and
yeah, yeah,
yeah. All
for
right.
sure.
As far as scanning your local music shop, a thing for a long time. I feel like that was a big impression. Before the internet was things like cover art, and you had show flyers and things like that. What comes to mind as far as picking up a record just off of the cover alone?
Yeah.
And was the album as good as the art was?
Yes, I remember specifically. I was scanning through the metal section or whatever, and I'd never heard of the band Grave before, but I saw the cover for
Oh, okay.
Soulless, and I was like, fuck yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna get this shit. And that's still one of my favorite records today. I
Oh,
listen to that
dang.
shit all the
Okay.
time. Yeah, so
Okay. Okay. So it paid off. Thank God.
for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have those times where it's like you might have just had enough money to pick that up, and it's like, man, I hope this is as good as the cover art is, because Otherwise, you got to
Definitely.
like
Yeah.
try to sell it to friends and shit. Like, oh, this is
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Listen, they're
yeah.
like, no, this sucks, dude.
No, yeah, that one definitely held up and passed the test for sure.
Okay. Well, what about going to your first show? May it be like a big bill thing or something that was, like a smaller local venue type deal. What kind of introduced you to seeing live music?
Um, the first show I ever went to is fucking embarrassing, but I'll say it anyway because I don't give a shit.
Okay.
It was Billy Joel with my mom.
Okay. I
Fuck
mean,
that
it could be
guy.
way worse.
No, it
Yeah.
couldn't. I mean, that guy's terrible, but um, the first real show was like big show was Metallica and Corrosion of Conformity
Oh, damn. Okay.
um, out here on Long Island, and that was '96, I think. But that was like my real
Dang.
first like, oh shit, this is like a thing, like a big fucking
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, from that point, was it something to where you ended up discovering more of like a local scene or seeing, maybe things like show flyers for like stuff that was a little bit closer to you, or how did that come into play as far as local shows?
That kind of, that was like a little later on, like a little further into like junior high or, middle school or whatever. Just, local bands around here just kind of doing basement shows or whatever. You hear about it through the grapevine. And then,
Mm.
of course, you have to start your own shitty band to go play those
Yeah.
shitty shows. So,
Right.
but
Right.
it's
Yeah.
pretty standard start to the whole thing.
Yeah, my band, we're about 10 years into it and just kind of had one of those moments last night. But it's like those can be fun times. We ended up just getting
The best
trashed and
times. Yeah, man.
had fun.
Fucking yes.
What about as far as so going from there, where maybe this was your introduction to local shows. Where do you end up picking up playing an instrument? As far as maybe at first it was something like in band or something, but how did it get into like guitar or bass, or playing something else even?
Yeah, so again, going back to my dad, my dad's a musician and he has two brothers within a couple years. They're all in a couple years of each other. They've always been in a band for, the past 70,000 years. Um, but so there was always drum sets around, always guitars and shit. I started out as a drummer and I played
Mm,
drums for
okay.
a long fucking time before I ever like gave a shit about like playing guitar or playing bass or whatever. But the first time I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to be a bass player was friends of mine had a band and they were like, hey, we need a bass player. Can you do it? I went, probably, you know, and that's how it started.
Okay, okay. Now you were playing drums in bands then too, and like doing was that something where you were
No,
like,
just
oh, okay,
playing
that
at
was just
home,
like for
playing
fun.
along to fucking Pantera songs or whatever,
Okay,
trying to play that shit. But
yeah.
yeah, I never played drums in a band. And then, like I said, I just joined a friend's local band just because they were looking for somebody to do bass, and I was like, oh, well, I can play, sometimes a guitar. So I'll figure
Okay.
it out.
When you mentioned Pantera, when you were learning drums and kind of cutting your teeth into those things, what were like first songs that were really you were setting your sights to, like, I gotta be able to play this? What came there?
As far as Pantera goes, probably Walk was the only song I could
Oh
actually
yeah,
pull off.
yeah.
But, like
Okay.
play the Black Album front to back and,
Yeah.
just I don't think I was ever a really good drummer, but
Okay.
I did it
Yeah.
because I was like, having fun with it and just I was into metal, so that's what I did and you know,
Was
didn't
there
really
any?
take it very seriously until I started playing in a band and that at that point I was playing bass in the band.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What was there? I mean, as far as being like the, that the bass side of a band, has that kind of like inspired your playing as far as in when now playing bass and having that like playing drums at one point, is that kind of tuned your ear to different things as far as like, oh well, I can kind of change this here as far as my playing to emphasize that or vice versa.
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
all a drumming background did for me was make me more ready to really lock in with our drummer now or in the past, whatever, like that is what cemented, the rhythm section for me. I know both sides, so
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
that's pretty much
That's
second
cool.
nature at this point, or always
Yeah.
has been.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, so in those early days, I wanted to touch on a couple of different categories here. First of all, so you mentioned this earlier, or this first band here. What about your first show? How did that come about? And was it a positive experience? Were you kind of bummed out by it? How did that go?
Um, First show, God, I don't even know if I can remember the first show I ever played, but we did a lot of shows. I played
Okay.
in shows around here. Like I'm all the way at the east end of the island, so we're
Oh,
like
okay.
fucking. I live still an hour and a half away from the guys.
Okay.
So there was always basement shows or little studio shows going on out here. Played thousands of those, just with, and that was as far as we ever wanted to go or thought we would go.
Right.
You know, until you get that first thing where you're like, hey, let's go on tour, and then touring is a whole nother thing that
Right.
we didn't even fucking know existed
Right.
until you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do you have like specific memories as far as that first time actually, cutting out to the road and kind of expanding out of Long Island or New York? And was there horror stories that came along with that, or was that pretty much a positive experience?
Totally a positive experience. I remember,
Awesome.
I think we got as far as like Virginia Beach. Like that was our tour. It was going to be a weekend
Okay.
thing, go out, do 3 shows, come home. But we had never even gone, out of our area code. So,
Mhm.
getting out there and doing that, we did it in like a fucking one of the short school buses that we kind of converted. And,
Yeah.
we're like,
Okay.
well, what are we going to tour in? We did
Yeah.
that in a weekend. We bought that shit and just went. So that broke down 10 times, but we made it and, drove, 10 or 12 hours to play a house show and then get fucked up. And then, it just like pretty much what we do now.
Yeah, I was to say, boy, this is yesterday. Shit,
Hmm.
it never gets old. Boy, oh
Yeah.
boy, when you put it like that, man. What about recording for the first time and being able to hold in your hands something that was something that you played? How did that come about?
I think that we, again, just, that was just part of it. We always did, probably 10,000 of our own recordings, doing your own demo. Nobody wants to give a shit about your dumb little band. So,
Yeah, right, right.
you don't have any money, so you do it yourself. And it's always cool to have like a physical thing, but I hate the process. I absolutely hate it. There's
Okay.
nothing probably I'd want to do less than be recording anything. It's not my thing. I know some people love it. I'm sure my guys are into that.
Yeah.
I hate it. And that's why I have like the best job in the band. Like, go play live shows with your 5 strings. Like,
Right, right. I mean, I'm right along there with that point, as far as, I don't know if I can say so much as hate it, but for whatever reason, it's like I can play the same thing exactly how I'm supposed to 20 times. And then that one time that all of a sudden, the lights on, or, you see him press the record button, you're like, oh boy, what am I
yeah,
doing here?
dude,
For some reason, all of a sudden there's like this like weird anxiety that turns on.
your hands are sweaty. And, like, I don't think I have timing issues ever. We can play live and I'm always I feel like I'm good. But the second I'm supposed to record a dumb, stupid thing, I'm ahead. Like, I'm way the fuck ahead. I don't want to do it, dude. I don't want to
Yeah.
do it, and I don't like it.
Like, I just want to get it done. Maybe it is too fast, but you guys can record a little bit faster and just keep up with the bass part.
Yeah, exactly. If only that was the thing, I might like it. But
Right,
then you
right,
got to
right.
be there for it too, and I don't want to fucking be there for that shit.
Oh god, that's funny. Well, last thing, touching on this as far as a pre-show ritual, just something as far as to kind of prep yourself before going out and play it. Does anything come to mind as far as maybe not necessarily a ritual, but something that just kind of helps center you, or maybe some stretching, maybe some practice beforehand?
Yeah, I never practice before a show.
Okay.
I'll shake my fingers out a little bit, maybe, fucking jump in a circle and make a joke at one of my band members. But Rick and I used to do the Red Bull thing before every set, and the energy drinks have turned on me, man. I can't fucking do them anymore.
Oh no.
That was our thing for the past few years, and then we started doing our asshole show.
Yeah.
And the fucking things have turned on me. They kill me. So I don't really do that with him anymore. So I drink alcoholic beverages with Ian instead. So that's kind of like our pre-show.
Take it from an extreme high to maybe get a little bit of a low before going out, and
honestly, man, like a shot or a beer is way more effective than a whatever fucking Red Bull is going to make my fucking hands do this and make me feel like I'm going to die. So
I've wondered, I mean, as far as like, I drink energy drinks or whatever, but, watching those episodes too, and kind of seeing, like more and more every once in a while, it seems like somebody might even have two. I'm like, man, how are you guys doing that? Or like Rick, like,
dude, when they do those like big bangs or, the monsters,
yeah,
I'm out. I can do like the 12-ounce Red Bull if I'm tired or whatever, but those big ones, he's so mad at me too. Like, he's actually like, he feels like I abandoned him. But hey, man, Ian can do it all. You guys can do that part.
Yeah.
And then I'll do the booze with him.
Man, that is funny. Holy shit. So, kind of moving a little bit, from these earlier days through, the time in like American Ice Age, and then, you had some time with This Is Hell as well. Take us through, your path as far as coming to meet, the guys in Extinction A.D. I know that you knew Rick for some time through different bands, but, how you came to meet Ian and Scuds.
Yeah. So as far as Rick, I've known Rick for 21, 22 years. Like, we met each other through, we were both in our earlier bands, kind of just playing shows together, whatever. I always thought he was a cool dude, I liked his bands. And then we were both dating girls who were friends that lived upstate. So when I would go up there, sometimes he would be up there and I'd be like, oh yes, like somebody that can give people dirty looks with me, So Rick and I have been friends for forever. Scuzz I actually met kind of same deal, like local bands playing shows together. Scuzz actually filled in. I played with this band called Up the Fury that was doing a lot of touring back then and shows, and he did like a show or two right at the tail end of the band there. So that's how I met Scuzz. Okay. And then Ian, I didn't know at all until I started playing for Extinction A.D.
Okay.
I don't even know if I've met Ian like at a couple XAD shows before I was in the band, but yeah, that's
not from any like prior bands or anything like that.
No, I know he was in a Long Island band that we did some shows with, but I didn't know them, so I didn't remember his fucking ass.
He'll love that.
Mm-hmm.
He seems like a real character that's a glutton for attention, may it be positive or negative.
He's the best, man. He's a good sport about it too.
I mean, and the videos that he's been putting out, on the band page there, as far as like the solos, dude's like top notch, so cool, and I'm excited. We're about to get into the new record here too, but beforehand, as far as 2013 the demo comes out, 2014 Plague Prophecy. Was it right around? Was it Faith Killer when you started? You started your involvement with the band?
I don't think I started playing shows, filling in for Pete when Pete couldn't make something, or whatever his, he had a new baby at the time, just married or whatever. So I think I started playing shows with them after Decimation Treaty was already out.
Oh, okay.
So that was probably late 16, early 17. And I just kind of was like on call for them. basically, if he needed me. And then yeah, eventually we just switched roles, basically. He's filled in for me a couple times.
Okay.
But it was a pretty easy, because I was already going out and doing shit with them and,
Right. And Peter's still, like you guys with the videos and everything, like it's, still like a small family as far as, kind of interlocking, pieces. And I know Scuzz has different things too. And I think it's something that I
Yeah.
appreciate about the band too, like with my band and my personal situation with family and work and, different members where it's like, if we can, like for the better of the band, make it and make a show and somebody else has to play drums or somebody else plays bass, like I always appreciate seeing that, just kind of getting, whatever it is figured out. And even with, Peter's involvement in doing the videos and writing
Yeah.
still, because he did some writing on the new record too, right?
Pete's always writing for the band. Dude, we
Yeah.
have like the
Okay.
best system for this band. It's like pretty seamless and pretty much foolproof because, Pete's always doing stuff for the band. He's always writing. He's always doing that. Ian's writing. Rick's writing. We have like 4 different group chats within the band that are pretty much designated for specific reasons. Like Pete and Rick and I have one that's basically like a filter for all the material coming in. And then everybody, the 4 active members have one for things that are going on right now. Like the whole thing is just like perfect.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And it just that's by default. That's just how it works. But
Yeah. Okay.
it does
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times that band thread is a beautiful thing to have, but then there's other times where, you get out of like a shift or you spent the day with the family and you look and it's like, I have 92 fucking messages right now. Like, what is
Every
happening?
day. Yeah, every day. And the big one, there's 6 of us in there because Travis is also on the main band one.
Yeah.
And it gets brutal in there, man. It gets real brutal in there.
We'll move on from that point there. So you guys just recently put out Culture of Violence, and like I mentioned to the other two, and kind of in the interlude here, for this episode, is the top tier material for this band. I've loved you guys since day one. I've talked to Rick and I've talked with Travis just as far as the transition into this band here and but like for me as a fan, this album is like, that's where it's at. Like, this is kind of like the bar now, from where you guys are going to go, from here. What can you tell us about, like the first riffs or maybe demos that you had heard, as far as for the writing for this new album? And this was the first album that you were on, correct? Playing?
I didn't even play on this album, but yes, the first one that I had involved. Rick recorded everything. Again, perfect for me because I don't want to fucking do it.
Okay. Touché.
And we were in quarantine at the time, and all the bass tracks. I gave him my guitar. I said, he's going to take his time and do it anyway. So perfect for me. Hey man, let me know when you're done.
I'm glad I did great.
Yeah, it sounds so good.
Awesome.
But yeah, no. First riffs and first tracks, I remember, probably like 4 years ago, we were all, Ian, myself, and Rick were working on Dominion and 13 in his living room, just kind of hashing it out. There were a few other songs, but Dominion and 13 are the first ones I really remember that I was like, yo, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of set the tone for the rest of the record. And, I don't want to say that record came together easily because it took so fucking long just because of COVID and, record labels and stuff like that. But it feels to me like exactly where we should be as a band and very natural to where we're at musically.
Oh, okay. Right.
This feels like the record that we should have written our entire lives. To me, at least.
And I think it's a nod too, as far as I was hoping I was going to have like the physical record. I ordered it and I haven't gotten it yet to, go over like liner notes and all that shit. But whoever had recorded it, as far as like just the sound, studio wise, sonically, like even with the bass tone and like when, Culture of Violence comes in and it's just the simple kind of thumps that's going. But I'm like, dude,
it sounds
slaps.
mean. That was the guys at Westfall, a studio out here. And Ray from Moontooth,
Yeah. Okay.
They reamped and mixed everything, and It sounds fucking wild, dude. I mean, that
It's
bass
tough.
tone, like I stole that bass tone for my live rig now
Oh,
because it
okay.
was just so fucking sick. And
Yeah.
I think my live tone is probably a little heavier, like a little dirtier, just to give it more grit. But I basically went out and they used a dark glass microtubes preamp
Hmm.
on the record, and I was like, oh, that sounds way better than what I'm using, and just went out and got one, and it is fucking sick.
Oh, damn. Okay. So it's still that transition too, as far as live, like it's pretty close to this new record then, as far as
Yeah,
your
it
sound and approach.
my sound is as close to that sound on the record as I think I could get. Maybe a little
Sheesh.
dirtier, but it's fucking heavy.
That's sick. What
Yeah.
about guitar? As far as the rest of your setup, do you have certain pedals or like what bass do you bring out when you're going to play?
Um, right now I'm using an LTD AP5. Um, that's my main guitar, and that's what I use for the whole set now.
Oh, okay.
Um, and as far as gear, I got that B7K um, right into a SVT Classic that is
Hmm.
just like this monster. Like I've played through those before and never liked them. And I, by chance, like borrowed this head from a friend of mine out here, another musician, and he's like, "Yeah, take it, go tour with it, whatever. Let me know if you like it." And Rick was with me the first time I played it, and we both looked at each other like, "What the fuck?" I mean, this thing is nasty. So I went.
Okay.
We did a tour, and I got home, and I was like, "Hey man, thanks for lending me the amp." And he's like, "Did you like it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Keep it." I was like, "You motherfucker!" So shout out to
Whoa.
John. He's a cool motherfucker.
Yeah, you ain't
Yeah, he just
lying.
gave it to me.
Damn. And that's kind of one of those things too, when you're like younger, and I always appreciated, having some of the kind of entry level stuff when you're first starting out, because, your parents or whoever don't want to, spend
Yeah, yeah,
thousands of dollars on, whatever. But it's like, that's the sick thing, is when you start getting legit gear and you power it up and you have a tube amp, or you have, a drum kit that's legit, and you start playing, you're like, whoa, this
yeah,
is what shit's supposed to sound like.
yeah, man. This
So
thing sounds
that's
big. I hate the fact that it's a SVT Classic because it weighs about 100 pounds. But
right,
I see these
right.
guys carrying little amps into there that are like the size of my phone. I'm jealous as fuck, but I like the sound.
Yeah, that's the same way, with us, as far as last night. It was like a basement show, and trying to go down two different flights with this thing that's just about as big as we are. You're like, why can't you get different shit, dude?
Yeah.
But it wouldn't sound the same. So
Well, you can't
yeah,
get rid of
touche.
that 8x10. You need it.
Yeah, yeah.
You need it. Even if it sounds the same as a 4x10, doesn't look as
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, I guess myself being a drummer, I don't really care. I don't give a shit. But if it sounds good, then you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you got to do it.
The two tracks I wanted to touch on, and you kind of mentioned on, Dominion, and you guys, working on that writing. But the other one was Culture of Violence, as far as maybe not necessarily earlier memories of it, but maybe, you guys playing it live, or, what kind of stories do you have for either of those tracks, especially for the bass that, is implied in those tracks. You've played Culture of Violence live, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We played
Have you
that.
done Dominion or no?
Yeah, actually, Dominion is the one we've been playing the longest. We were playing that in 2019 live.
Oh,
That
damn. No
yeah,
kidding. Okay.
that was
Wow.
the first one I think that from the record that we like started playing live. 13 as well. We've been playing for quite a while. But Culture of Violence we started playing I don't know, I guess earlier this year. But Ian wrote that whole song.
Mm.
It was a little different when he first wrote it. And like we were like calling it the Pantera song or something. It had a working title. I can't remember the working title, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it was something Pantera inspired. But man, I like that song specifically. I kept like pushing, like, let's make that a song. Let's make that. We got to use that. We got to use that. And we kind of reworked it a little bit. Worked on the arrangement and changed his like solo arrangement a little bit, which I'm sure his brain like malfunctioned for a while about. But
Yeah.
it is what it is now. And that's the result, But that song, when Ian sent the demo over, I was like, dude, this is something that I do like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And it's funny. I mean, just as far as like the whole like aspect, of like the working out and the kind of gym, vibe as far as with the band, like this album is one of those things where it's like front to back. You got 10 tracks and it's just nonstop. Even I could say I went and saw you guys this year, a couple months ago, and you were playing 13, and it was just hearing that for the first time and hearing like the kind of prettier chords at the beginning. I was like, uh-oh, where is this going? And boy, that song did not let down. So
it's my favorite song to play live. Yeah.
Oh man, dude, that was so sick. I absolutely loved that. And then you played Mastic as well, which with like that being the single, I'd heard that, but live, was so sick. And then the push-ups. How did this come about? I guess I have to touch on this. I haven't done this yet. Where is there a specific moment in a song, and how did it come about?
Just instead of hey, go run in a circle and crash into each other, we're fucking as mean as it seems like we're trying to be, we're probably joking most of the time. And I'm sure it started with just Rick being like, hey, instead of doing a circle pit, why don't you losers do push-ups instead? And it, people did it. So of course it turned into a thing.
Oh my God.
So then we started printing out, like diplomas, like certificates, like you passed. Whoever does the most gets a certificate with their name on it. Extinction A.D's push-up bullshit extravaganza or whatever.
Holy shit.
That's really funny to me. I don't know.
That's awesome. That's absolutely. And I told him too, like, after the band was done playing and everything, I was like, look, man, I didn't do a whole lot of moshing. I didn't do the push-ups because this was my first time seeing you guys. Next time you come around, I'm partaking in all this shit. So I just want to let you know, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but I wanted to see the band for this.
Oh, how dare you not do push-ups on some disgusting venue floor.
It was it's going to be there this next time. I'm very excited for it. And it was funny seeing you guys having the diploma there, or the certificate. Seeing that, I was just absolutely fucking dying. I was like, boy, this is getting more and more ridiculous. And
it's ridiculous. And and that adds fun to it too. Like, I in my head am always visioning like, all right, which one of these guys can do the most push-ups? And 9 times out of 10, I'm fucking let down. But at least they try.
Oh man, yeah, and that could be something, maybe even where like you guys are putting some wagers on it. Maybe there's something, there's some stakes here. Have a little skin in the game.
I don't want to start doing that. That'll get dark real quick.
Okay, all right, touche. As far as with Culture of Violence, be an awesome introduction to an album. I always, I love, a great start and a great end to an album. National Disaster being another track that I was in love with. I've kind of boasted about it, talking about the record in general. But what comes to mind as far as an album that you love that has just an awesome album opener? Maybe something that you're going to the gym and it's like, I got to put this track on and it's going to get me really pumping. What comes to mind there?
Every Monday, we know is chest day at the gym. Okay. I don't ever start a chest day without putting on Far Beyond Driven.
Yes, okay.
So Strength Beyond Strength, man, that's like
so sick.
The most heavy-hitting album opener of all time.
Okay. Yeah,
and the best record of all time.
Right. I mean, and you guys are, you're counting down slowly the 90s records, your favorites of all time too. So you just put out the third episode, right? Or third or fourth? Yeah, third.
Third just came out. Yeah.
Is that I haven't gotten to listen to that one yet, but is it getting pretty hot in there?
Dude, it's
flying.
It's really hard. It's really hard. And yes, I think this was episode 3. We were definitely the meanest to each other because there were some conflicting opinions. But I mean, I already said on the last episode, it's got to be Far Beyond Driven. If anybody votes against Far Beyond Driven in my band, they're getting kicked out.
Oh God, no, that's I mean, and absolutely, you know, a great choice, and as far as you know, kind of spanning out the album too, I thought you know, Culture of Violence was definitely you know like the go to you know energy through and through, but that track, you know, just as far as the opening of it and kind of you know the momentum that it you know ensues throughout the rest of the record, awesome. Very, very
Yeah,
rad.
thank you, man. Thank
Love
you.
it, love it. So this is, you know, this is going to bring us to this conclusion here as far as I've been doing, you know, an XAD March Madness where we're digging into your favorite track over the years. You know what I'm saying? If you have to pull up the old Apple Music or whatever, that's perfectly fine. But
I don't need
we're
that
gonna.
shit.
Okay.
I don't need that shit.
Well,
I'm pulling it up right now.
all right, we're gonna start out with Plague Prophecy. What do you got off that bad boy? What's you know a memorable favorite track from the EP there?
Um, Shit, man. I haven't listened to that in a long ass time. I would say probably the song Extinction A.D.
Yeah, okay, all right. I was I'm a little surprised because Scuzz said that too. I mean,
Oh, well, I want
I'm
to
a
change my
fine
answer then.
Doomsday, but dude, dude, you can't agree with him.
No.
Okay. All right, let's see here. Boom. All right. And then Faith Killer. So it was the band's first LP there. What do you got off that bad boy?
Um, I I want to say Tu Enemigo is probably my favorite song on that, and they're probably going to get mad at me, but fuck them.
You're like that just solidifies my answer all the more.
Yeah,
Decimation Treaty. What do you got? What do you got on that bad boy?
yeah. Decimation Treaty. Probably, even though we never have played it live and never will, probably the song Decimation Treaty. I
Dude,
mean, can you
I
go wrong?
absolutely love that track.
Me too,
I
man.
guess it must have been when I was talking with Scuzz actually. I was mentioning that's like one of the songs if I'm introducing the band, like there's three tracks, I'll have energy, and then I wanna show people that song just because it's like such an ode to all of the sick stuff that I grew up with. And it's like such a just absolutely rad,
Do
energetic
you make him
at
sit through the
moments.
entire 8
What
minutes of it?
there's no other way to show them.
I agree.
If you're gonna get the appreciation, you need to see every or hear every segment of this. You know, just kind of go right on through. And he's like,
Yeah,
"That's the
man.
first song you show people." I'm like, well, not the first one, but shit. It gives a good idea of the energy of the band for sure. Chaos, Collision, Carnage, and Propaganda.
Chaos for sure. That's like a
So sick.
staple live song. Super fun to
Okay.
play.
And Propaganda too. Live, obviously, you know, seeing you guys playing that, but then recorded was insane. Absolutely, that
Dude,
turned out awesome.
so fun. Yeah. That's like always like a really fun one to do live because, you know, you can weed out the posers and figure out who doesn't actually like being cool.
Right, right. Not talking to you. Not talking to you.
Exactly.
You got all right. Culture of Violence. Last up. What's your highlight track off that bad boy?
Man, I like this record so much. I'm gonna just be I'm gonna be cool and pick the one I like to play the most, which is 13.
Sick. All right. Awesome. That's the one thing like with I'll be talking with Rick next, and I hate like in interviews where people ask about like the singles and ask about the lyrics and stuff, but I am excited to kind of dig into some of that stuff as far as like especially with like 13 or 1992, some of the aspects of what he's touching on in here, and
Yeah, yeah.
and also along with that is the fact I don't have the record, so I can't read the fucking lyrics and different things. So
Yeah.
kind of get some stories behind it. But yeah, I mean, such a sick track, and like I had mentioned the first time I heard it was live, and I'm like, completely taken back. The maybe the closer to the end or the like the mid like bridge where it's the like the harmonics and Scuzz is playing like the ride. And, oh,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
so
Dude,
sick.
that song is relentless
Obsessed. Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. All right, if you had to choose between XAD and To an Amigo, which of those would you go through?
To an Amigo for sure.
All right, got that. All right, so you're gonna pick two out of these next three. So you have Decimation Treaty, Chaos, and 13. Which two of those would you pick to go through?
Man, I don't want to stroke Ian's ego at all, but I'll go with Chaos.
Okay.
He did a good job.
I'll edit that part out so he doesn't hear it.
No, leave it in there.
Okay. All right. And then Dream, or Jesus, not Dream. Decimation Treaty or 13. Which of those two?
13.
13. All right. So you got To an Amigo, Chaos, and 13. Which one of those three tracks would you eliminate? So you're only going to be down to
eliminate?
two. Yep. To an Amigo, Chaos, and 13. That's some high stakes, dude.
We'll kick that one out just because we don't, you know. I'm living in the present, bro.
Okay. And then Chaos and 13. You choose in between one of these two.
I'll choose Chaos.
Oh shit! Okay, dang.
Yeah, man.
I already wrote down 13. I shouldn't have pre-came so fast. Chaos, sick, dude. That's absolutely awesome. This is rad. This is so cool. I've been a huge fan of the guys in the band for a long time. I gotta get Peter on. I introduced this whole month of having all you guys on and got 2 interviews into it. And I was like, how the fuck did I not reach out to Peter? Which I had him on for when I did This Is Hell. Yeah. I got to get him back on because I feel really bad.
I'm sure he'll do it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I want to say, honestly, man, thank you very much. This has been awesome. I appreciate the stories and the insight. And anybody that's been watching, I'll have this edited and it'll be on YouTube here within probably like the next month or so. And I'll have like a little, stories and different like promo and shit on here too. So with all the episodes. So thank you, man. This has been so awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it, dude.
All right, man. You take care.
Take care, brother.
It'll be on. He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.